Only 1 year later, because this was the time when Capcom was putting out Mega Man games every living second, Mega Man 03 was released onto store shelves. Now, I may have given some flack to 02, but I still enjoyed it, so this game has its own expectations to live up to.
Two months have passed since El Pizzo's death, and things have been going pretty well in the meantime. Neo Arcadia hasn't attacked much, CL's finished her energy research and sent the finished study along to solve the energy crisis, and her and Zero are looking into a reading matching the Dark Elves in this crashed spaceship. And it seems the Guardians have some interest in it as well. The source of the energy is this giant robot named Omega, who is currently busy wrecking Leviathan and Fafnir. Even Zero can't meaningfully dent the behemoth, and Arcadia only temporarily disarms him. Thankfully, the fight is stopped by the arrival of Omega's master, Dr. Guys, it's German. It's pronounced Weil. Anyway, he was banished a century ago, and he's back because the revived Copy X allows it. Surely there's nothing fishy about this. Everyone leaves Zero behind to begin their own hunt for the Dark Elf, but not before Weil makes a comment about how far Zero will get in that body. So two teams are after the Dark Elf. Weil also picks up the baby elves while he's at it. That puts Neo Arcadia in the lead, and Arcadia is not too happy about it. He questions why X wants to continue this fighting when they have the ability to end the energy crisis right there and bring peace. This line of thinking immediately gets him demoted, which puts Weil in control of the armies.
Can't see that going wrong.
The Dark Elf has been found in a human residential district, and to get it quickly, Weil is planning to launch a missile containing Omega to that location to instantly combine their powers. Zero fails to stop the missile's launch or its collision due to stalling by the baby elves, leaving him at the apex of the explosion. No worse for wear. Omega absorbs the Dark Elf and goes super, and Arcadia finally snaps and betrays Neo Arcadia, which also doesn't turn out well for him. Zero has to save him when they escape. One less Guardian aside, Neo Arcadia holds all the chips, so they ask CL for the CL system she developed. By combining it with the Omega and the Dark Elf, it could produce an incredible amount of energy. CL refuses because it's these guys, and that's enough to get them branded extremists. Strange, I thought they were already terrorists. Why does it matter if they're extremists too? Isn't that implied? Well, it gets more stages thrown at them. Hey, it's the first game's bosses. Oh yeah, Weil specializes in Reploid Resurrection. That's how Copy X returned, and that's why there's a boss rush. Zero defends the resistance base, kills some old enemies, and you know what, might as well kill a dictator while he's at it. I'm sure the humans will love him for that. It's a retread of the first game's fight until Copy X tries to go Seraph, at which point he explodes. Turns out Weil crashed back on the planet with Omega after his space exile, recreated Copy X to give him a legal way back into Neo Arcadia, knew he'd go one-winged angel at some point, so strapped him with a bomb, and got himself as a successor in that time. Am I right so far? Regardless, that puts Weil in charge of Neo Arcadia, and his first order of business is taking out the Resistance. Except they're not under threat or attack after that point, so I'm not sure what the holdup is. Fucking Senate filibusters. With no idea what Weil's end goal is, Zero looks around for some clues, including a surely educational visit to the library. One of the data files Zero finds in that library is about something called the Elf Wars, which the game proceeds to exposit about. After years of the Maverick Wars, as the X-Series detailed, X mostly stopped the fighting by using the Mother Elf to rewrite Maverick's code to remove the Sigma virus. Dr. Weil, angry that his proposal for Project El Pizzo, a plan to place all Reploids under the Mother Elf's control, was denied by X, took the Mother Elf and rewrote it into the Dark Elf. He then created the baby elves to turn Reploids maverick on a large scale, and used that conflict as proof to the humans that Project El Pizzo was necessary. He also created Omega around this time to draw out the Dark Elf's full power. X and Zero worked together to defeat Omega and put Weil on trial, and Zero went back into stasis, which makes X6's ending canon. Although these Elf Wars only lasted 4 years, 60% of humans and 90% of Reploids died, so don't expect to ever see these events told in detail. Thank you so much, Mega Man Knowledge Base. Granted, the reveal of the Elf Wars puts the series canon into a bit of confusion. The Zero series was originally designed to follow X5's ending, but with Zero needing to be around for these events, that's clearly no longer the case. So is X6 the only later game that's canon since Axel is never mentioned, or is X5 followed by this completely original story? You sort of have to cherry pick events from the X games to bring back into canon to rationalize this and come up with your own fanfiction to put it all into place. I do, however, approve of the Elf Wars for two reasons. First off, it justifies Zero's amnesia. Remember that? He doesn't angst or mope about it. It wasn't even mentioned in Zero 2. It's only there to allow a huge event like this to happen and make it necessary for Zero to be introduced to it along with the player. Second, Dr. Weil started Project Elpazzo not for total domination, but for proper justice to be given to Mavericks that kept coming back, even with X and Zero fighting. I like to think this is why his bosses are named the 8 Gentle Judges. This not only makes Weil's motivation way deeper than I will rule all Wily and Sigma, but makes him an incredibly dangerous threat. Anyway, his jury of Gentle Judges have all been executed. Ha! Weil contacts the Resistance to tell them that they'll be dead soon, not because of Omega, but because he took control of all the Reploids in the base and they got guns pointed at CL. Until X comes in and knocks everyone out, giving Zero the coordinates to Sub-Arcadia, where Weil's been hiding out. Zero runs through, taking the baby elves out along the way. He confronts Weil, who reveals that he's a human, Zero just doesn't care. Too bad he doesn't get the chance to break the 3 laws of robotics yet, because Omega is the one playing. His first form is almost exactly the same as the intro boss, and his second form isn't much better. But breaking the trend for the first time since X4, this is a 3-form final boss, and the final arena is where CL discovered Zero. I believe we call that thematic bookending. And here comes our next big reveal. What we've seen up to this point is not Omega's true form. His actual body not only looks like Zero, but is in fact Zero's original body. At some point after the X series, possibly X6's ending, Zero left his body until the Zero virus issue was solved, and Weil obtained it to study virus stuff. When Project Elpazzo was underway and he needed a fighter, what better than a robot intended to be a god of destruction whose body he had sitting around? Zero was awakened in a new body to fight along X again, and was put back to sleep shortly afterwards. Omega Zero is certainly a formidable opponent with a lot of moves, but Zero still puts him down. Which isn't enough because the Dark Elf plans to keep giving him power and knock Zero down. That's when the Guardians, who've all decided to fight for humans instead of out of loyalty to Neo Arcadia, get their shots in and tell Zero that Weil's currently helpless and can't stop Omega being destroyed, which Zero takes advantage of, giving no fucks of being a fake. Which makes 2 times Zero in this game alone showed Shadow how it's done. The explosion of Omega's full power knocks Zero out and apparently kills the Guardians. While he's out and probably in a near-death experience, he's used to it, X tells Zero that his Cyber-Elf power has finally run out and gives his best friend a final goodbye. Zero wakes up in the Resistance base brought there by the Mother Elf, finally free from Weil's curse. Surrounded by his comrades, Zero declares that he is Zero, all with a beautiful 32-bit piano piece that still makes me emotional. Damn, what a story. This recap is nearly as long as the other Zero series reviews, script-wise. There's a lot more happening this time around, a much bigger plot with far higher stakes. I love it. I love seeing the threat levels, the oh shit moments, the character arcs fully come around. It's got so much thematic conclusions going on that give it weight. The problem just lies in the dialogue. I don't know if it's the fault of the initial writing or the localization, but there's some seriously awkward things said, especially early on when they try to shove the exposition into the lines. Alright, I'll try and keep the rest of this short. The game starts and of course your weapons are all back to...
Well, that's nice.
Right off the bat, the triple slash and full charging. Damn good. You'll also notice in the intro stage that you're picking up secret discs. Some of these are the equivalent to picking up cyber elves, while others are just there for information on characters and enemies. It's not really an addition or improvement, but a decent enough change. like replacing the chain rod with the recoil rod. It's not as versatile or useful as its predecessor, but it's less awkward to compensate. What is an improvement is cyber elves. For the most part, they're exactly the same, except for this new category called satellite elves. These are elves that can be equipped or unequipped at any time with no penalty, which means those non-permanent elves from the previous game finally have a function. I recommend the one that sporadically drops health. And if a score really matters to you, any elf can be a satellite elf with the right amount of E-crystals. Maybe you want to get all the returning EX skills. If you really care about score, watch out for those doors during those stages. These are entrances to cyberspace where every elf you own is automatically equipped and every enemy drops an item. But you can't fight bosses in here, and just the act of entering lowers your mission rating. As such, I ignore them unless there's a really tangible reward for it. It's there if you need a little bit of extra help, you might, but this game is definitely the easiest of the three. Some of that comes down to the rewards for fighting bosses. Yep, you still get elemental chips with the added benefit of being able to charge up and use them from the beginning, but there are other chips in this game as well. These are real benefits, like quick charging, healing by standing still, dashing through enemies and items, that's stupid. Or the actual best one, double jump. This is a fantastic addition to the formula, the way it noticeably improves Zero, unlike the forms that have been dropped. But the other reason this game is easier is just because of better design. Less places where screen size is an issue, less places where speed is necessary, less additional objectives if that's a good thing, and bosses have a more consistent difficulty. Though that last one isn't entirely good because it means the early game bosses are hard. Your first one is going to be a pain. Also, I hate this stage. The idea is to erase the sub to lower the water level to make the boss easier, but the stage is not designed for going fast. It's almost as bad a race as Sonic CD, but at least you don't have to win this one. Also, Copy X goes a little crazy with the spikes, and enemies with shields are still annoying. The presentation is at least another step up. Even with more stages this time, there's very little in repeated environments. I'm also pretty sure there's more colors, I don't really know. The music is again really damn good, I just love all of it. There's more variety this time around, your standard rock and video game music, foreboding pieces, emotional ones as I already stated, it's fantastic.
Mega Man 02 was an almost improved sequel that just messed up a little bit on the level design, but 03 is the real deal awesome sequel. I mean, it's not perfect. It's still got some noticeable flaws that overall rank it below Mega Man X or Mega Man 9, but it's still fantastic. The Zero series is already one I replay frequently, so being the best of that, you know it's good. And what a way to close off the Zero trilogy. So, join me next time as I look at Mega Man 04.
Oh yeah, there's mini games too if you beat the game under certain criteria. Nope.